Facebook. All right, so here
We're
we
back
are.
again.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
We are here for obviously Wednesdays live with the Dahlia Group, and we are continuing our seller focus.
Yes, we
this
are.
week.
Yep.
So today, I thought it would be really cool for us to focus on the idea of pre-listing inspections,
Yep.
specifically because that is something that is part of our best practices.
That is part of our current best practices.
Yeah.
So as the market shifts and as things change, the climate changes, right? The absorbency rate as far as like how many properties are actually listed to what sells, right? These are all things that we're analyzing constantly.
Yeah.
We're watching what buyers are doing as far as offers, what's being accepted in the market. So all the conditions,
Yes.
we as a team sit down and we discuss and we, work through and we talk about best practices. So those are constantly changing.
Yes.
And like Rachel said, that's part of our current best practices.
Yeah.
So to ensure that our sellers are as prepared as possible in a climate where they might not be getting 20 offers, right? And we don't see as many cash
Not
offers.
the same
and
anymore.
We're not seeing $100,000 in, an appraisal gap.
Yeah.
These are all things that have definitely changed.
Yes, definitely
over the past
changed.
few months.
So the importance
yes.
of this and being part of our best
So,
practices.
pre-listing, yep.
So we're going to start with just a few of the benefits of why, and then I also included your most it's big, it's typed big because it's really not that long. Just the most frequently asked questions in regards to why.
Okay.
So in terms of a pre-listing inspection, obviously upfront information makes a huge difference in terms of control for your seller, in terms of repairs, and then it also strengthens their negotiation position. So your buyers can't so much use those repairs then within that negotiating process, or at least because you're aware you can set the tone.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or you can make those repairs before you even list.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really big one too.
The big four that it seems to be according to like NAR and everybody. There was recently some interviews done, but obviously just making them aware of any issues in advance of getting into an agreement, allowing them the chance to resolve any of those issues that they've have come across, and then accounting for that within your upfront pricing.
Yeah.
Because what if you come across something and you don't know,
That
right?
makes sense.
So rather than it being in the middle of, negotiating while you're under contract, what if there's something
like a
major?
curveball.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you don't
want
have
a
to
curveball.
throw that off. Like just throw everything
Absolutely.
off. And of course, obviously giving your seller better control when it comes to marketing their home and minimizing, again, and here it is, minimizing that stress within the heat of the moment negotiations.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, I have on here for like the 4 main points, just generally homes that have pre-listing inspections sell faster and have fewer inspection related issues. When it comes to negotiations.
That's awesome.
And the general transaction is
That's awesome.
incredibly smooth.
Did you happen to get the days on market for the sell faster?
They didn't.
Curious.
They didn't have it listed.
I want to know.
I
want to
So
know.
this was an interview.
I'm a numbers person, so I'm like,
right.
Give me the data.
I wish it was in there. If it had been, I would have left it.
Ugh.
This was an article with NAR specifically, and with the president of one of the largest inspection companies in the U.S.
That's
and they
awesome.
were going back
I
and
love
forth
that.
discussing. So, and because we
Love
had
that.
just done it as best practices with our conversation, I was like,
This has got to be
Yeah,
it.
perfect.
Yeah, no, I love that. Because it really sets the tone for transparency, right?
Yes, and that's a huge
you
part
have
of
less
it.
issues, ultimately less hurdles.
You're
like
gonna
you
have to
said.
disclose.
Yep.
You're supposed to
Absolutely.
disclose anyway.
Yes.
And that also is part.
What she said.
Disclose
You
everything.
have to disclose everything you know when you're listing your home.
So actually, that ends up coming up in frequently asked questions because people are like, "What if stuff? What if stuff comes up that they don't want to disclose?"
You don't get to not disclose it.
Right.
By law.
Right.
If you know,
And-
you have to disclose.
I guess people's problem is like, so okay, what if they weren't aware? And it pops up in the inspection.
Ooh.
Right.
Well, now you know, and now you have to disclose. But on the flip side, now you know, so you can get ahead of it.
Correct. So
get ahead
a
of it.
big point that they made, and I didn't really ever think about wording it in this way.
Yeah.
is that resolution
Yeah.
is meant for the buyer and the seller.
Yeah.
So they need to know
love
regardless. And just obviously, the sooner you know that information, the faster you can jump on it if it's something that needs to be taken care of.
100%. Or again, transparency, like you said. If you decide, hey, you know what, I really can't take care of this.
Right.
I'm going to sell this as is
Right.
in current condition. You can account for that, like you mentioned, in the pricing, so
Right.
you can make adjustments according to what your findings are.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes,
Love
I think
that.
it's wonderful, and I also obviously it talks a lot about, and we discuss this with our clients too, is the idea that your realtor can guide you in terms of which of those items in your current market are items that you really should be taking care of, or are things that can, just become part of the not deal itself, but can stand and
within the
move
transaction,
forward.
without having to address, absolutely. And we can help with the pre-inspection part of that too.
Yes.
Right. So if you do that pre-listing inspection, we can help navigate from a buyer perspective, what are they going to be willing to do, right? What cost burden are they willing to carry? When they look at this inspection report and you say, hey, these are all the things that I've been able to take care of, right? I've taken care of all of this. This is what I'm not able to do at this point.
Yes.
I'm passing this on to you.
And a big thing I think, and it came later, seriously, and it came later in this, don't worry, I almost swore. So,
Happy live.
Yeah, hello everybody. I love it. Another thing I always tell my clients as buyers, though, too, is when there is a pre-listing inspection, similarly to if a seller's disclosure is filled out incredibly thoroughly, that shows to me a very honest seller and someone that my buyer is going to want to work with.
That's very true.
So it's also a good omen. It's sort of
it just sets up the transaction for it to be smooth. There's obviously, it sets a tone of open communication and transparency from the beginning, and I think that's what
nobody's
the buyers
hiding
feel.
anything.
The co-op feels. So when you walk into that property and you're doing your walkthrough and you're seeing the things, you have a pre-listing inspection that's already addressing that, right? You have a repair list that the seller has already addressed those issues and concerns.
That's my favorite.
So you're walking in with a little more confidence, I feel
of course,
like, right? To be able to make a decision, pull the trigger from a buyer perspective.
Confidence is the right word.
For sure.
Another frequently asked question, of course, is how much does an inspection cost, right? So it's the same as a regular inspection that a buyer would be getting done. And honestly, it's a lot about square footage and about what you want completed.
100%.
A general home inspection is what, 3 to 5?
To 4, depending on what you're adding in.
And depending on where you are.
Location too, size of the house, like she said.
Because I was going to say, I saw the 3 to 5, 355, and I'm like, usually around here it's under that. But again, this is a national.
So depending on where you are and what inspections you do, because you can do a pest inspection included if you have a finished basement and you want to throw in a radon inspection. So it doesn't just have to be just the home, right?
Correct.
You can be as transparent as you like while the inspector's out there. You can usually get a bundle deal too, right? Like, hey, the home inspection, but if you throw in the pest while I'm already there, right, it's going to cost whatever less.
It's like an add-on versus a completely come out 100%. And start from scratch.
I do think it's important, since you brought up cost, is again setting the tone with the buyer. This is now a cost that your buyer isn't taking on.
Or and again, this is frequently apparently also is comes to when you do a pre-listing inspection, a lot of buyers want to do their own inspection anyway, so what's the point? So that comes up later in the discussion here.
I have had that happen.
Yes, me too.
We're like, that's nice, but can I trust this? And
but again, for me, especially in the market we were just in, if there was a pre-listing inspection, to me, that the confidence is through the roof in that seller.
Absolutely. When everybody's already waiving inspections, right? It just makes you feel a little bit better.
Right.
And it might also allow your buyer to offer a little bit more.
Yes, and that's part of my conversation.
Might be, oh my God, I love it. I'm just jumping in.
No, you're good. No.
We're on the same wavelength, right?
In general, though, for real, that's part of it.
Absolutely.
By being so transparent and by being so honest and by having all that information up front, it just makes the whole deal honestly better for both parties in so
100%
many
for
ways.
all parties. Even us guys, we love
Seriously.
it. We love it.
Obviously, we love it. Of course, a lot of that's used to be my ringtone. Obviously, people do ask occasionally, is there any difference between a pre-listing and then the inspection a buyer gets? No.
No, same thing.
Same thing. Again, so what if your seller doesn't want to pay for repairs, right? What solace does that pre-listing inspection give to your buyer? So obviously, I made sure that I highlighted here just the idea of that inspection, it's forthcoming information. And by having that, it's not only tangible, but there's an emotional value, right? Like we talked about, there's that immediate trust and confidence. And then, of course, it gives you more facts to work with on both sides. So subsequently, like we talked about, there's more clarity on what issues there are or have been or what can be resolved, et cetera, et cetera. So if the seller doesn't want to pay for those repairs, the buyer has that benefit of transparency, the emotional value that's there, the tangible facts that are there, and what all's been resolved, what needs to be resolved, what are they getting themselves into.
Yeah, they basically have a punch list when they're walking into the house, right? Like without having to pay that out of pocket, they have a punch list of what they need to address, and they can make an educated decision on their offer based on that pre-listing inspection, whether you made repairs or not, right? Like again, that transparency is key. They can make an educated offer, and you are also, even if you're not making the repairs, you're justifying your price point, right? Like I am aware of these things that are happening in the home, right? Some I might not have been aware of before the pre-listing inspection, but I am now disclosing it because in the state of PA we have to legally disclose any issues that we know, right, about the home. So if we haven't driven that point home,
disclose it all. All of it all.
So yeah, but it at least gives that transparency and it justifies the price that you're asking because you know what your buyers are going to have to do when they walk into the house.
That proper awareness is huge. It's huge. And again, part of what we pride ourselves on is the transparency and the honesty within our transactions. And so we wouldn't want our sellers to not be giving all of the information. So this just goes right in with that.
Hand in hand.
Obviously, another thing on here was pre-listing inspections helping real estate professionals market your home, right?
Yes.
Because obviously, the more information that we have and we can provide, the more peace of mind there is. It's just better in general for the sale of the home. It reinforces the asking price, like we've been talking about.
100%.
And then it allows that marketing to almost be amped up in a way. I didn't hear the door go.
It threw you off. I love it.
So our front door has a bell on it, and I didn't hear the bell go off.
But I have a client that showed up, and
I just heard a different door, and I was like,
I love this.
All right.
I love live videos. This is awesome.
So obviously, it allows us more material to market with, and
sure.
it also gives us, again, like when you show up and we have what I always called school books, but the binders that have all the information that you could possibly get that you leave at that seller at that listing. You can then include all that information in there too, and it just it makes everything so much stronger and smoother.
It really does.
Transparent.
Just again, the confidence. Like I can't tell you how many times I've stood at a kitchen island with that binder right there. Pre-listing inspection is in there. The seller's already made notes. I've already done this. This is scheduled for this date. Blah 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 blah. You know, like got a second opinion, right, about this thing that's in the inspection. You know, here's a quote maybe, right, on the repair. There is so, oh my gosh, it just such a weight and burden lifted for us as professionals, for the buyers that are viewing your home. Again, they know exactly what to expect from a cost. They know exactly what to expect, you know, from a punch list. I love that. The marketability that you mentioned, like it genuinely allows us to do our job so much easier. And it doesn't, and it that underlying stress that some buyers may feel.
Our job, we ease that as much as absolutely possible, but to have something like that in front of them just goes even further.
For sure.
So
because buyers too. I mean, as soon as they see the listing, They have questions, right?
Yes.
Like if you've purchased a home or you've even shopped for a home, you see the listing, you want to know all the things, right? That might not be included in the public remarks.
Yeah.
There might be some additional private remarks. You want those disclosures right away, right? You want to see what's going on with the house. And we as agents want to provide as much of that, like Rachel said, up front to make this process as easy as possible and to have transparency in our marketing. So that pre-listing inspection is
I
just
love
like
it.
another added layer to push the sale of your home
100%.
you know, to as much as possible and as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last thing was something that we mentioned at the very beginning that I have on here, and that was, what is the sense in paying for an inspection if our buyer's going to do it anyway? Right? So there's two key points that they bring up.
Tell me.
Right? Okay. So the first one is obviously by being aware and disclosing those issues up front, right? They are effectively taken off the negotiation table because you are priced appropriately.
Yep.
Okay, that's the first big one. So there's less hiccup in terms of hitting that negotiation stage, and it makes for a smoother transaction. Secondly,
Love it.
if there are issues, it gives your seller control over what the cost of repair could be.
Ooh, that's a good
Because if you leave it to your buyer gets the quote from whomever they feel does the job best. Whereas as the seller, you can get it done by whomever you feel does so best.
Or get multiple quotes.
Yep.
It gives you
So
gives
it
you a window of
allows
opportunity
you-
before you even list
Yep.
to take care of
Yep.
and do your homework.
Yep. So the two big ones, smoother transaction really, because negotiations are going to look a ton different.
Yep.
And giving your seller the control in many aspects.
Oh my gosh.
But
Absolutely.
specifically control over
Absolutely.
what that repair cost looks like.
100%. And this is, and this is coming from a seller focus, but obviously we've talked about in the past 20 minutes, just the buyer benefits
Seriously.
as well. Like this
Yes.
is so mutually beneficial
Yes.
to all parties. Like,
The associated resolution is a consideration for both.
for both parties.
Parties.
And again, for us as agents, right?
Yes.
Because it does allow us to come to terms a lot quicker on the front end. So everything can just smoothly transpire throughout the transaction and come to, that wonderful settlement day where you get your keys and your home and you get to hand off that beautiful home that you've taken
Oh,
pride
it's
in.
amazing.
Yes. So let's do that on the happiest note possible.
Yes.
And a pre-listing inspection allows us to do
I was gonna say, I love that this is part of our discussions and part of our best practices right now, and I feel like it makes such a huge impact for both parties.
I agree.
That
100%. I agree
it's
100%.
huge.
Yeah. Like so I do have a question about your buyer situation. I'll come back to.
Yeah.
But like Rachel just said, our best practices really are tailored to the market. And I do love that this is, something that we started including a couple of months ago based on, the market changes that we were witnessing and the things that we were seeing. And I'm so glad that we've had the opportunity to talk about like the seller focus and that we're going to continue that conversation over the next few weeks. But because from a listing perspective, there really just is so much that goes into it. There really just is.
Oh, gosh.
So as much homework and preparation you can do up front to make that process smooth for yourself, definitely the better. But again, mutually beneficial for the buyer. So back to the pin that I just put in.
Yes.
What did your buyers decide to do with the pre-listing inspection that they got? And they talked about doing their own.
Yes, they ended up not.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was actually not that long ago. And because we were coming from the market that we were just in into our current market, again, I have that discussion with my buyer too while I'm there. That's like, hey, this seller is being incredibly upfront.
I love that.
And again, if they wanted to, obviously obviously always their decision.
Absolutely.
Always their
Absolutely.
decision.
Yes.
But
do keep that in mind from a seller perspective.
Yes.
Like, getting a pre-listing inspection does not mean your buyers are not allowed or do not have the right to a second inspection, right? Like, they absolutely have the legal right to do so.
They waffled on it. Came to the conclusion that honestly, when they looked at the disclosure and things like a rip and a rug are noted as a defect,
I love that.
and that there's an inspection right there that and you can see the regular maintenance of things also. Yeah, they didn't see the need.
Yeah, absolutely.
How
And
about
you know,
what is your experience with that?
So they had discussed as well doing a second inspection, but the inspector that the sellers used was someone that's on our inspector list. So we do provide multiple options, right? Because ultimately it is your choice as to who you choose for literally anything regarding your transaction as a buyer, right? As a seller, right? For all of us, we all ultimately have our choices in this world. But but it was someone that we also trusted. So they felt confident in that pre-listing inspection and felt a little bit better that the inspector had done a thorough
going to be the
job.
same person.
Yes, but it was likely going to be the same person, right? Or somebody else on the list. But we also, one of the things that I do is we do look at that inspection and do a walkthrough, and go back and forth between the document and the home to make sure. To give them that confidence, like, okay, put all those worries to bed. Everything is addressed. See, there are pictures of this issue that we saw, potentially in the corner, whatever that might be. You have that document right there.
The ability to almost in real time
address.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's awesome.
So they were able to do a walkthrough with the inspection and feel a little bit better about
That's
it.
great.
So
I
love that.
Pre-listing inspections, guys. So seller focus. I think next week seller focus is continued.
It is
correct.
Continuing.
Yes.
We have so many tips and tricks.
We
definitely we love sharing on live. We love sharing on our posts. We love all of those things, but we'd also love, this is my segue to the end.
Yeah, here we go.
Love to give you a thorough consultation and answer any questions that you have specific to your home and talk about the benefits of a pre-listing inspection for you as an individual. Yes, or as Ophelia says, specifically.
I love it.
Specifically for you.
Yeah. That's right, girlfriend.
And we'll go through our best practices and we'll talk through, really what's going to benefit you the most to your unique situation.
Yeah.
Your Pacific unique situation.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh, thanks, Sam.
Oh, thank you.
So I guess we're going to segue into you can
call us. You can text us at 717-333-7045.
You can email us at info@thedahliagroup.net. Find us on the web at thedahliagroup.net, or reach out to us on any of the many platforms that you might be viewing this on.
Absolutely.
Right now.
Message us. We love to hear from you. Again, we do offer complimentary consultations, and are happy to do those walkthroughs with you
100%.
And talk through any questions that you guys have.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day. We're going to try and end this gracefully. Doesn't always work that way.
Usually doesn't work that way, especially when I make that face. Oh my gosh, that's going to be the thumbnail
Instagram
chooses.
Have a great day, everybody.
See you guys next week.
Bye.